Hello, hello. Um, I'm Pam Coxwell, and welcome to my studio. I'm so glad you're here. Let me get this moved back just a little bitty bit. I am, I want to take you behind the scenes. That's what I'm trying to say. I am working on details for our Be Still and Know workshop, and I have stuff scattered everywhere that I'm using from my stash, I'm using from the kit. And so I thought this might be really helpful for them to see how I shop my stash. I'm using the kit, but I'm also adding some more things. Some of the little pieces that I'm adding are actually have a little, maybe they're keepsake, maybe they have some memories tied to them, but it makes it a little bit more customized for me and my story. Because the way I see these journals that we make together is this is like the perfect place for you to capture some, um, not just memories, but to capture um, records of God's goodness in your life. And some of the things that you put in your scripture journal might not make sense to anybody else but you. And that is okay. And I'm going to give you some examples. So, y'all come on in. And I'm assuming you're watching at lunchtime, but if you're not, you're watching later, welcome. Doesn't matter what time of the day it is that you're watching. Welcome to my studio. So, as I said, I'm preparing for our Be Still and Know workshop, but this applies to really any of your creative projects. So, I think you might like it. So, this is what I'm going to be. This is what I am making. I'm preparing. The way I do my workshops is I like to pre-record my tutorials. I like to do it that way when it's something important that's a step by step, because I get distracted kind of easily and I don't want to miss an important step. I feel like I stay focused better. So I just like to do that as a service to the people who take my workshops. So that's what I'm working on. So even though the workshop does not start until next week, in my mind, it has already started because I'm getting all the pieces put in place so that on the 20th or whatever day a workshop starts and you press play, I want everything to line up and to flow and to be just right for you, because I take this job seriously and I thank the Lord that He allowed our paths to cross. And I'm just tickled that you're here. So, whether you're doing this workshop with me or any of the ones in the future or the past that I've already done, just know there's a lot of my heart that goes into this. And I just want it to be special for you because you are special. And God's word is special. And His love for you is incredible. And I truly believe that we can use our hands and that gift of creativity that He has given to each one of us to help us capture some of that and record it. He knows how forgetful we are. We are His precious daughters, and He knows we're forgetful. If you spend any time at all reading in the Old Testament, you can kind of tell He knows we're forgetful. He was constantly saying to make a record, to pass this information on to the next generation and the generations after. That may or may not be what happens to your journal, but regardless, it's meant to be a place for you and the Lord, for you to, this particular one, the theme is be still and know He is God. And so this one is all about us carving out time, making time, being intentional with our time so that we can be still, and not just physically still, because there's lots of mamas with babies that are physically rocking a chair and they're spending quality time holding their sleeping baby, but they're also spending time with the Lord. There are people who are juggling teenagers. They're sitting in line right now at the school, in line, waiting for school to get out, or they're taking them to ball practice, or piano lessons or dance lessons. There's also people right now who are busy working full-time jobs and they're taking care of elderly parents. There are people right now who are working full-time jobs and they're working a second job. We're all at different places in our life. We've all been given 24 hours. So whatever we do with that gift of 24 hours is between us and the Lord. And I know that He can help us carve out time for Him. We just need to want to. So my job is to encourage me, front of the line, top of the list, and you to let's carve out some time. And using creativity is the perfect way to do that. Okay. So with that being said, before I start showing you my behind the scenes, I want to say one other thing. I mentioned already that we are all at different seasons in our life, and I gave examples of that. We are also at different seasons in our spiritual life. There might be some of you that are watching that have been believers and followers of Christ for many, many years. And I think this is going to resonate with you. I think you've probably already been doing some sort of journaling or making a record. I hope that this can help you take your record keeping to the next level, like a spiritual scrapbook. You've got lots of history with Him. I'm going to encourage you to make more than one of these. You have lots of history, lots of things to record, and continue making them to continue recording His goodness in your life. I know that we have others who are brand new to this idea of journaling, and I just want to say welcome. This is such a wonderful practice. It's like multi-purpose. You can actually practice art, practice using that art muscle, building up your art muscle to get better and better at art, whether it's lettering or painting or whatever, all while building up your spiritual muscle. Because if we are intentional and we choose what we practice, then it can really pack a punch. For instance, in lettering, you can get better. Your handwriting can get better with practice. Your lettering can get better with practice. It's a muscle. You have to practice and build it up. For most people, it's not going to happen overnight. You've got to build it up. It takes practice. Spiritually too. So think about that. We're building muscles while we're doing this. So one other thing that's happening with this, and thinking about the stages of life, talked about just the stage of different life journeys, spiritual life journeys also, but also a creative journey. So think about yourself. Just like we might have some people who have got a long history with the Lord, we have some people together right now who have a long history with using their creativity. If we were to have a path drawn out and I said, where are you on your creative path? 10 would be, well, I've been creating all my life. Or 1 might be, well, I'm brand new to creating. I don't really know where to start. Or 5 might be, I'm just, somewhere in the middle. Or 2 might be, well, I'm just now uncovering my creativity. And I'm so thrilled with what I've seen and what's available to me, but I'm not really sure how to get started. I want you to think about that in your own creative life. Where do you think you would fall? Because there's no right or wrong way. So if you spend time creating with me in this workshop, in our Creative Heart Studio, or any of the other workshops that I do, anytime we have a gathering together, you're going to notice that there are some of the women who it seems like know all the glues to use, or they know all about the paints, or they do so well with their lettering. I just wished I could letter like her, but they've been at it for a long time. They've been doing it a while. There's nothing wrong if you've not been doing it as long as them. Then there's some of us who I have no idea what glue to use. Somebody tell me what to use. That's great because there's so many things you can learn from each other. So my point is, if you gather together and you're looking at, I don't know, just say Karen and her lettering, and it's like, oh, I wished I could letter like her. Karen practices every day. So instead of measuring yourself against her lettering, think of that keyword against. Instead of that, look at Karen's lettering. Oh, it's so beautiful. How does she do that? She practices every day. Let it be inspiration for you. I would love to improve my lettering. I'm going to try that. I'm going to see if I can try that. Or you're looking at someone else's art and it's like, wow, their flowers look so amazing. And I'm measuring my flowers against her flowers and I come up short. What does that do? It just makes you feel defeated and it steals the joy. I don't want you to do that. So when you see someone else and you're looking at what they're doing and their painting just seems like it just is flowing and it's so perfect, don't measure yourself against them. This is not about measuring. This is about being inspired by what they do. And then the next little tip with all of that is, and I've learned to do this throughout the years with other artists, and it has helped me grow tremendously. If I like another person's style of how they're painting something or how they're lettering something, I've learned to ask myself, what is it that I like about that? And to really analyze it and learn to ask myself, okay, well, I really like those brush strokes. I really like how she does those brush strokes. And I start looking at it that way. What are the parts of that I don't really like, that I'm not too fond of, and start separating it out like that. And then how can I take those parts that I like and start adding that to what I'm doing so that it's still my painting, that I'm just getting inspiration from this other artist. And it has really, really, really been helpful, all with the idea of developing my own style. And I've been able to do that. So as we gather together, here's what I want to encourage you to do. Anytime we gather together, look at what I'm doing. And you can look at even like this journal and just look at it of what do you like about this, and try and implement those things into what you're making, and then put your own flair on it. If you're just starting, and that's going to help you develop your own style. If you're just starting out, you're brand new, just look at it. I did that for years and years when I first started painting before the internet, or before I had access to the internet. I think the internet's been around a lot longer than I've had access to it. I bought painting books and I would go buy the book. And one of the ladies that I would, Rose Carlton, I would buy the paintbrushes that Rose used. I would buy the paint that Rose used. I would try and imitate the brush strokes that Rose used. And guess what happened? I learned to paint. I did. Then the next step was I started implementing that, looking at other things and pulling out the parts that I liked a lot and started adding that into some of what I was already painting. And it didn't take long before people would say to me, I saw your art at so-and-so place. How did you know that was my artwork? I could pick out your art from anywhere. And I never could understand that. But I think now I know why, because I pulled from pieces from kind of like a patchwork quilt. My art is a patchwork quilt from years of admiring other people's art and slowly building pieces and parts into my own artwork and developed my own style. So, as we start our journey through this upcoming workshop, or if you're just watching for the first time and we're gathering together now, as you watch what I'm showing you, I want to encourage you to do something similar. If you like it and you want to learn, it just takes practice. And I'm here to help you. I would love to help you. If you're following along and you're starting to gather with me and these other ladies in Creative Hearts or in our printable club, and you start seeing some of their amazing artwork, I want you to remember that word against. Don't compare yours against theirs. Look at theirs, admire it, and learn from it. And it can bring you so much joy. It really can. Okay? So now, as I'm preparing, I'm about to record the tutorial for creating this cover. And so I've been over here in my studio shopping my stash, and that's what I would like to use this time to show you how to do that with yours, whether you're preparing for this or anything else that you're doing, okay? So I have a kit that we put together. And so I've got my box, and I'm even going to use my tissue paper, y'all. I don't know if you know this or not, but we put thought into what color tissue paper we use because we want you to be able to use it. And you could even use the box, you could cut the box into shapes, and everything we're giving you in our kits, you could use it somehow or another in your artwork. So I want to start out by saying that. I've got some other tissue paper that I've just got from previous kits, and I'm going to pull that out also. But I want to show you something. For this particular workshop, we are using vintage sewing patterns, and we are using flowers from my garden. But a lot of my flowers have started dying off before I can finish my tutorials. So now I've purchased grocery store flowers to go along with my garden flowers. They are also the inspiration. So if you notice over here, there's a part of a vintage pattern, and the inside part is right there. So whenever I was putting this one together, I let this pattern be like the inspiration for what I chose for my cover. So now I'm about to do a second one. That was my sample. This is going to be for the tutorial. So this is the pattern that I have for this one. And if you notice, it's 3 girls on here, or ladies. So I'm already thinking about some friends that I have that these kind of remind me of. And I'm probably going to give one of them this journal. So I'm going to make this for them. I'm also looking at the colors in here. So I see this really pretty green and blue outfit that's super cute. So I could tie in that green. And that actually is one of the greens that we're using in our florals. I love that navy skirt. The girl in the middle has the red skirt, and it actually matches some of the colors in our watercolor dots. And then the girl on the end has a super cute plaid and a red jacket and blouse. So I like it. And I'm going to try and pull some of all of that into my stash that I pull. So the first thing I did is I made a copy of the pattern. I made a color copy, and that's what I'm going to put on this journal cover. And I'm just going to save this because y'all, these are really old. This one was 75 cents. So that kind of helps you date it. I don't know that there's a place on this that says the date 1968. 1968. So I'm going to hang on to the actual pattern. Okay. So the other thing that I'm going to pull together is the flowers. So I've already painted these, and this is what we're doing on day one. So I've painted them. I've got these other bouquets, and they are going to go in the interior part. So we're going to be creating a divider for different names of God. And we're just starting this, okay? There's so many names of God. So we're building a foundation, a framework that you can continue adding to your journal. And that's my prayer for you, is that you're going to make time to sit down and really add to this, choosing more and more names of God. So I'm going to put these two aside. I don't have them. I've got them painted, and you'll see I've got the tutorial for cutting it out like this. And we'll use these, I think, on day 3. Okay, so let me move that out of the way. Let me put it over here so I don't lose it. Y'all know I'm bad about losing stuff. All right, so I've got this. I know I've got the yellows, the greens, the browns, and I still need to do my detail work on this, but I'm going to wait till I trim these out. I'm putting this aside with my pattern so that I can shop my stash, okay? So inside the kit, we've got a piece of a napkin. I love these Laura Ashley napkins. I've already peeled off that back piece, and I'm going to use it too. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to use it, but I love the scallops. So I'm going to use it. This is included in the kit. This is and this is going to give a great texture. So I know I'll use this. Do I know how I'm going to use it? No. But at this point, I'm just shopping. I'm just shopping color palettes. This is a piece of some of my paper from our printable club. It's got the sunflowers. It's got that same green. So I'm pulling it. We've got the pinks and this robin's egg blue that's in the kit. So I've got it. I've got this really pretty yellow paper, so I'll use that. I also have the full sheets of the printables. We gave the kit purchasers a sampler of these. It's an option. If you want the full page, you can get the digital download of these. These are mono prints. I'm going to be teaching more about how to make these mono prints at our upcoming retreat. But these are some that I've created, and I wanted to use them in my journal. All right, so these are what the full pages look like of these designer papers I've created. So I know I want to use these, but let me show you what else. Let me put this right here. And I may not use all of this stuff. I'm just pulling it, okay? So I also have a little piece of Terry's blue jean leg. So in Creative Hearts, we've been doing fabric painting this month, and when we had our Zoom, I had asked him, could we borrow a pair of your old blue jeans? I wanted to test out painting on it. But I love this denim and this look. So it's very likely that I'm going to trim some of this out, and I'm going to add some of this to my journal. It might be the cover. I might use it as a bookmark. I don't know, but it's special because it's my husband's pants leg. So that's going in my stash. Okay, I've got book pages. Those came with the kit, but I'm pulling even more. Let me show you something else that I've got that I'm going to incorporate. I had gotten some prescriptions filled, and they've started using these brown sacks. And I thought, ooh, this is good. So I can use even this in my journal. I could paint over this part. There's so many ways we could use it. Could fold it in half and use it as, in the journal as a short little booklet in there. There's lots we can do. But the first thing is I just need to shop my stash. So I'm just going to put it in my little basket here. We've included embroidery floss and stuff like that, but I'm just looking and I'm just grabbing up some odds and ends. So I've got some yellow and I've got some of this little fuzzy stuff. I've got a partial thing of this orange that I've had for 100 years. So I'm going to incorporate that because some of the zinnias that we painted are that orange. So I'm looking at the color palette from the Paint Dots. I'm looking at this. What kind of fibers do I have? What kind of bling do I have that will work with this? Will coordinate with my pattern. Okay, so I'm going to put that there. So let me show you something else. So my mother, my Meemaw, which is her mother, and my grandmother, which is my daddy's mother, they were all seamstresses, like big time. They were phenomenal. They each specialized in something different, but I grew up with my mom sewing my clothes, and y'all, she even sewed my Barbie some clothes, and we were thrilled with that. I can remember being little and her sitting at her sewing machine just sewing away, and us just standing there wanting her to hurry up and finish it so we could put it on our Barbie. So I have some of her sewing notions that she's given to me throughout the years. And so I'm even going to go through these and pull out some things that color coordinate with what we're doing. So this is pretty. I'll put that in my little basket. Here's some Rick Rack, 50 cents Rick Rack. I don't think you can get it that cheap nowadays. What else is in here? Hem tape. I love that sheer stuff also. I think this red gingham would look cute with it also. And see how she's wrapped it around like that? That's left over from a project that she did. So by me pulling some of this, it's got some, it's special. It's got special memories. Even though I don't remember her specifically using this, now I can look and I can recognize that some of my mom's sewing notions, and that makes it more of a keepsake. It helps tell the story, my story. Okay, I hope this has given you some ideas. All right, another thing that, oh my goodness, y'all probably have something like this. This is my mom's button box. My Meemaw had a button box. My grandmother had a button box. And when we were little, they would let us play with the buttons. Did y'all ever do that? Play in the button box. So, of course, I'm going to look through here and see, are there a few buttons that I could pull out from here and incorporate into my journal and just make it special. Now, when you order from us, we almost always include bling and a few buttons. This is what I call bling. I love to color coordinate beads. To me, this is part of my color palette. Just like the paint, the acrylic paint, or the watercolor paint, or the markers, I'm looking for beads that are my color palette. And so there's much part of my palette. And then I make mixtures that work with the project. So this is some of the mixtures. and I'm going to use that also. So I'm going to pull out just a few of my mom's buttons, and I don't think I got my Meemaw's buttons. I got her ear bobs. Did y'all ever have ear bobs? Do you know what those are? I have not done this yet, but I do want to do a project and incorporate some of Meemaw's ear bobs into some of my projects. All right, so what else can I shop? I showed you even the paper sack. Burlap is another good, there's my basket. Burlap, book pages, the sewing patterns, the parts on the inside, those are great to create with. I'm thinking even scraps of ribbon, scraps of fabric. Looking to see what I have around me that, I mean, if it's not tied down and you can glue it down and it's in your color palette, I would say put it in your little box and shop when you're shopping your stash. I'm also going to use some of this waxed cord. I think we put some of that in the kit, but we'll make a dangle. Well, no, hang on. See this big button? I wanted a big button on my cover, and I'll show you how to do that in the workshop. But I just like dimension, and I like being able to add dimension to things. So this right here, that's embroidery floss. I also added a zipper. This is one of the old zippers from my mom's sewing stash. I added that to my journal. So we did not include a zipper in the kit, but if you have an old zipper, or you could pick up a zipper, you would need it to be about, I think it's, what's the height on this? I would say a 9-inch zipper or smaller, 9.5. You wouldn't want it to be any longer than 9.5. And I'll show you how to add that, but it'll be one of the last things that we do. And then the tissue paper. I've got that assorted tissue paper down there. And then I'm going to look at my supplies, and I'm going to pull some Neocolors. I'm going to pull some markers. I've got some gelatos. If you have gelatos, those are also a lot of fun. You don't have to have a lot of them. Whenever I get stuff like this, I'm always looking for my favorite colors. If it's got a color in it that I'm not really fond of, I don't really need to buy colors that I'm not going to use. I usually, like when I'm buying ink, acrylic ink, I just buy the colors that I like, that I use a lot. Here's some ribbon. This is one of my favorite types of ribbon. It's really sheer. So I feel like I have a good assortment, and I think I'm ready now to set up my workspace. I'm going to have just a whiteboard because I'm going to be working with collage. So with collage, you're going to need something like matte medium or Mod Podge or matte medium, or whatever your favorite adhesive is. I'll also use some Fabri-Tac to glue some of my stuff down. And you'll need an old paintbrush to do your adhesive. But I think I'm ready to start recording that class for the cover. And I just wanted to invite y'all behind the scenes to see how I'm doing it. And this is how I do really all of our projects. One thing I'm super excited about, and let me tell you this before I get off. So there's a book that I have been using for I was trying to figure out when it was, but I think it was around the early 2000s maybe. maybe. And it's called Prayer Portions. This is not my first book. I took the first book apart and put it in a 3-ring binder, and that binder was so thick I couldn't carry it around, but it was easy to access the pages, but still it's not easy to carry around. So I ordered myself a new one. The woman that created this is Sylvia Gunter, powerful prayer, person of prayer. She's from Alabama, my home state. And so she has a section in here in Prayer Portions called Praise. And there's 1, 2, 3 pages, and it's called You Are My God. And it's got Bible verses out to the side. We've reached out and asked for permission to share this 3-page resource with our workshop attendees. So I'm excited about that, because this is going to give you even more ideas of names of God with verses that you can add to your journal. So as I'm closing us, I'm about to close out so I can start recording the tutorial. I'm just going to ask you to pray for us if this coming week, that God would draw the people who he knows would really benefit from this workshop, that would enjoy doing this, that he would allow our paths to cross, that you would pray for me and my team as we continue preparing, that he would just work through us, that he would push past the barriers, and that he would be glorified in and through every single thing we do. I pray that you will be blessed. I hope that you have signed up. If you have not, there's still time. I'm sharing this into our workshop group. So I just want to tell y'all thank you. Thank you for signing up. Thank you for trusting me with your time. The plan is that each day you will receive an email with the recording for the day. And it's more than one recording, because I try and keep them shorter. So I think each day probably has about 4 little videos to watch. And the idea behind that is for you to be able to watch it at your convenience and to work at your pace. Okay, I know, just like I talked about the different seasons of life that we're in, work at your own pace. I really do want you to enjoy this. But I am going to bug the daylights out of you to come to our Zooms at night, every night of the workshop. At 6 p.m. Central Time, we will have a Zoom. And that's where we come together. I'll be able to help you more with that day's projects. We'll have show and tell time, and I'll give some further instruction. Like one of the nights, I'm going to show how to expand the journal if you want to have it wider. So even if you don't want to show your face, you can choose, when you're in Zoom, you can choose to turn the video off. That's what that's called. And you can just be there with us, and you can hear what we're talking about and just be with us, okay? So I'm going to be reminding you about that, but the reason why is the people who come to the Zoom get so much out of it, and I want you to get the most out of our time together, okay? So I'm looking forward to spending time with y'all, and just know that I'm praying for you. I'm getting excited about this. I feel like I'm planning a party for us, and it's kind of like it will be a party, and we're just putting together the party favors over here on my side. It's going to be a lot of fun, and most of all, it's going to be special spiritually, and that's what's most important. Okay. All right. Well, thank y'all for being here, and I hope that I get to see you soon. I hope you enjoy your weekend, and I look forward to seeing y'all next week. Okay. All right. Y'all go have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon.